Okay, I push my recordy-talkie button.
Getting tabled.
Getting tabled.
Getting tabled.
Getting tabled.
Getting tabled.
Getting tabled.
With the Bruce, the Yang, and Captain Socks.
Hello, future people. You are again listening to / watching Getting Tabled with your host, the Bruce.
That'd be me.
Did I point the right direction?
You did.
Wow!
No, not according to me.
Yeah, but you're just weird
You don't-
and wrong.
You're Florida man now, so...
I am.
Oh yeah, that's Major Socks.
Yep.
Now you're pointing
and
the wrong way.
He's not homeless!
I'm
Yes,
not
he
homeless
actually has a
anymore.
house. So
I
he's only
do,
a 2-star
so-
general now.
Yeah, only. Thanks. So, yep. Moved into our house yesterday. Truck shows up with all our stuff on Monday. So next time we record, I should have this room all set up, and you'll see stuff in the background more than just a hotel lobby.
Do you want to show the people at home your current setup?
There we go.
That's a laptop.
This is a laptop. That's all I got right now. I'm sitting on my desktop box.
That's like the dude who goes and buys the chair, doesn't pull the chair out of the box and build it, and sits on the box.
Well, I'm sitting on it in a camping chair. That's what I'm sitting in right now, is a camping chair.
You're lucky that you've been allowed to have that. You should feel
I know.
privileged.
I do.
And some camping chairs are amazing.
That
They
is
are
true.
amazing.
That is true.
And we have George.
Oh yes,
We
that
have
is
George.
George. Well, it's not that we don't care about George; it's that we forget that he exists.
That's right.
Well, no, I always talk at the beginning and I don't shut up, so everyone already knows who I am at this point. If they haven't figured out who that is that talks at the beginning, they've got bigger problems than just listening to our podcast.
I'm sure you're.
That's
one of
true.
them.
With that being said, this is a podcast, so we talk about stuff.
Newly received or noteworthy information, especially about recent or important events.
All right. So coming into the news with a little bit of an odd one, and when I saw this, I was like, "Okay, this is weird." Oh, but you can't buy them, so what's the point? So they're releasing plushies of certain things. One of them is a little Nurgling, which I think is possibly the best decision they could have made marketing-wise. But you can only buy these if you're going to a certain store opening that's in the UK. So they're announcing this on their publicly available news site, essentially just to rub it in the face of those that can't get there, which is most of their audience. There's also a griffin somewhere down the bottom. There he is. He's a very good boy.
So, first thing, and this is just me talking, and I hope to God someone hears me say this and does this if they can get one of these Nurgle plushies. It's a Nurgle plushie. It needs a skid mark.
I just want to point out that this is very clever marketing on their part, but it's also massively stupid marketing because all they're going to do is remind people that they can't get there.
Or don't do what I did trying to get a miniature, and then it took 2 years. I shouldn't say too much because you're still waiting for yours, Bruce. But
well, that is true, but you also are holding on to it because I said to hold on to it for now.
that's true. That's true.
With the way the postage is right now, I really wouldn't be trusting it to be getting here on time.
Well, and I want to get it to you now too because there's something else I want to get to you too, but then there's something else that we're talking about doing. So
Six sides.
Ah, yes.
I'll show them off, Stocks. I'll show them off. But there's
George,
something
sorry,
else.
George.
No, not right now. This is for the news.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, these are fun. It's a very smart idea. I just don't understand why they're not making these widely available. They could make a lot of money. Like, seriously. People will pay through their nose for these things.
If it is approximately this tall, like a Funko Pop size, right? Maybe a little taller.
Yeah.
I'd drop $25 on it in a heartbeat. For Nurgle, which I don't play. I don't like Chaos. I don't like Nurgle. I really don't like Nurgle the last couple weeks. But I would still buy one for $25.
The Nurglings are the best thing in the Nurgle army, in my opinion. They're just cute as hell. Captain Socks, as the resident I don't do anything G-dub, do you know what a Nurgling is?
Nope.
It's that.
Well, I know it's that.
They are, the miniatures are about half an inch tall. They are tiny, cute little things that look disgusting.
Gotcha.
Because Nurgle is kind of all about, you know, disease and horrible disease stuff.
Yeah, 2020 was Nurgle's year.
Pretty much. And it's going into 2021 too. Moving on though, we have a link that's not open. Why is my link not open? There we go. Now
I'm here.
So Kill Team Octarius is open this weekend, which is all good. The big thing I wanted to point out though, the prices that you're looking at here are Australian prices. So include the Australia tax on that. But they're actually selling this at what would be their normal price. They haven't marked it up because you can't buy it elsewhere, which I think is good, quite frankly. I was honestly expecting them to try to sell this for something stupid because they know people want the Death Corps and the Commando boys. Honestly, I was expecting them to try and throw a super... I mean, it's expensive still, but it's a...
Can we acknowledge something that you just said, Bruce, that's an oxymoron?
Yes?
Games Workshop charging more because they can. It's...
Oh, well, yeah.
I mean, beyond the fact of normal, I mean, this is probably, you know... Well, it's neither here nor there.
Well, we are talking about a company that thinks that they can charge $55 for 2 sheets of tokens and 5 plastic things. Or a set of dice for $55.
That's fair.
Otherwise, look, I mean, the feedback that I've heard on this Kill Team edition so far, I haven't heard anything positive said about anything but the models so far. I don't know how well this is going to do. Time will tell. The models are gorgeous, but people don't like the rules at all. And not just because of the measuring sticks. I actually don't have a problem with the measuring sticks. People complain about it.
I think the measuring sticks are great, simply for the fact I love the old red ones where you can sit there and just like whack someone with them and just leave a welt.
Yeah, they were very nasty. But you're not getting wacky sticks with these. They're hard plastic tokens.
You can still hit someone with something that's hard and plastic.
I mean, you could. You could probably stab somebody with them too.
Ooh, even better. I mean, and it's Kill Team, right? So.
True. Moving on. Anycubic are preparing to launch a Kickstarter for their next 3D printer. And I've got a lot of salt to throw at this one.
So, and didn't they just release new 3D printers last year?
Yes, so this is a newer version of their Photon. They're calling it the Photon Ultra. They've got a new type of screen again that takes the UV from the current 60 to the 80%. It works in a new way, which is like legitimate. It is a new technology. Well, new technology. They're using new parts. And I'm going to scroll down here just to show that I'm not making this up. I did openly ask this question to them publicly, and they did answer me. My question was, I'm very confused as to why this is appearing on Kickstarter at all, quite frankly. Their response to me, obviously not knowing that I'm a podcast person, but that's neither here nor there. Thank you so much for your feedback about Photon Ultra's launch on Kickstarter. Photon Ultra is our first DLP printer. That's what they're calling the technology. And the technology is totally new. As an open platform, Kickstarter, and it's the usual spiel about how it's a good opportunity for them and to give a...
Well, despite them being a large enough company that they could just fund R&D, put it on market without getting upfront money from the customers and then delaying it for who knows however long, or possibly delivering on time. I mean, there is that. So
they finished off by saying your exact point, which is we never launched established printers like the Viper via Kickstarter. This time we'll only launch this innovative technology. So they're acknowledging my argument and thinking that it defends. Like, this is a matter of opinion, and I get that. But as someone that often throws shade at Simon for doing this, 3D printing companies, huge companies like Anycubic, have less reason to be on Kickstarter than Simon do. Simon are legitimately a small company. These things are already made, all ready to go. All they're doing is trying to save themselves money and using it as a marketing campaign. All they're doing is taking money out of the pocket of the people that the product was that the system was launched for. They're just being selfish at this point. And this is coming from someone that is a fan of Anycubic's products. I own several of them. But I think that they don't belong there, and I'm going to call them out on it.
Yeah, I mean, it does get to a point to where a company does hit a certain size, and it shouldn't be crowdfunding. It should be, and
quite frankly, to throw shade in the other direction, I haven't been attacked over that comment. Whether I get attacked after this is another question. And like, if their response is a very good response, even though my response to those response is still salt. Like, they've answered the question.
Yeah.
It doesn't change my opinion, though. But quite frankly, I think it's time. I'm kind of sick of the fanboys just allowing this to happen all the time. They are ruining Kickstarter, people like this. They don't belong there. They shouldn't be there. They didn't need it for their mono.
Well,
all this is a different type of screen. Yes, it's new, but it's just a different type of screen. All they're doing is pulling one part out and putting another part in.
So here's a theory I'm going to kind of project too. If you look at some Kickstarters, I've been reading some comments, and there's a guy, he has legitimately been waiting 4 years for something he has backed.
Mm-hmm.
The creator continues to update. The creator is still working on a project. The creator is 3 years overdue on delivery, but the creator is still working on the issue.
Or says that they are. I don't know who we're talking about.
Or does say they are. Yeah, that is a fair point. My thought in this and stuff, because I mean, Kickstarter gets a cut of the funds, because otherwise, what's the point of them maintaining staff to answer emails and stuff like that? They have to be getting money somehow. I would not be
every
shocked.
time that they get pointed out in the holes in their argument, they update them to try and make it so that they can't be held accountable again.
Right, and I wouldn't be shocked if Kickstarter as a company, that takes their, we'll just call it 10% because that's a nice round number. Kickstarter goes to Anycube and just be like, hey, we'll only take 9 if you put a project up that you can deliver on, you will deliver on, and people will follow them back.
They don't do that. They haven't done it on bigger people than Anycubic.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Because
they have a hard
why else would some of these companies continue to do that too?
Because they don't need to get funding from elsewhere. They can just launch it and never. They are going to launch a project without any cost to themselves whatsoever. That's the benefit.
I wouldn't put it past a company though to or if they get some sort of kickback on doing a crowdfunding again when they don't need to, because they're going to generate the feedback and stuff. I mean,
now to give the other side of the argument, why do people continue to throw money at these things? They get a discount, and the discount that you're being offered this time is legitimately a good one. The first 100 people get a $200 discount. Apparently, this is going to be a $600 product.
ooh,
Or at least it'll be a $600 product for the first 2 months until it gets continually discounted again.
right.
Well, that's what happens.
or the
with
next
all of
model
these
gets
things.
released.
And there's if you miss out on the first 100, the next 2,000. So the super early bird was $3.99. The next lot of 2,000 is $4.99, and then it's going to retail for $599. So, because I've been salty, and some people may think unfairly, I am giving the other side of the argument as well. People are supporting them because they get a hell of a good discount. But realistically, all that does is show up what their margins are, because they're still going to be making a profit on that $399.
I'm sure.
I doubt it'll be
Bruce?
a very big one.
Bruce, quick question: how much resin can you buy for $200?
A lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
people are going to jump on it and be like, "Ooh, better 3D resin printer, $200 off. I could buy resin with that."
Yeah. I mean, Creality did this with an FDM printer last year. And I don't remember if we covered it or not, but I certainly didn't back it because it was essentially the same argument. They didn't belong there. But we'll save the rest of our salt on that for the moment, even if George is kind of going somewhere. Mainly because we have some
completely off my
salt coming
screen.
up. This is an interesting... We've got a lot of negative coming.
Oh, there's a lot coming from me.
Oh, I know. This is not negative, though. There's been some updates on Dropfleet Commander. So, this news hit, and I think it's probably fair to say that the reaction's not been as negative as I expected that it would be. People seem to love just to
1.3
have
the
a go,
rules.
fairly or otherwise, sometimes. So, the Dropfleet Commander rules dropped digitally about a year ago. And I again want to point out that we're the ones that kept on asking for that to happen. Where's our credit, Lewis? We deserve credit, damn it. No, I'm
We'll
kidding.
pull up an audio file and send it to your inbox.
He will have heard it. So they've launched the 1.3 version of the book. I will be completely honest, I haven't had a chance to read it yet. There's no huge, massive changes from what they're saying. It's kind of just updating certain things, but the Dreadnoughts, Monitors, Destroyers, and Resistance fleet now appear in the original rulebook digitally.
Yes.
But
As well as the Dreadnought's crippling catastrophic damage is now next in the damage section as well. So it's all in one place for damage,
yeah,
according to the website.
yeah. There's been a few typos that were fixed in Battle for Earth. For those that are panicking, no, Space James is still there.
Traffic James.
Traffic James. Get the
Traffic
right
James,
word.
sorry, yes. Traffic James will never be removed from the rulebook. We have been told this by TT Combat themselves. It's a typing error that will never change, because TT Combat, like the community, think it's the best mistake that's ever been made. But on the badder news, with COVID continuing to go, printing of books and so forth is getting more difficult. This is not new news. We've known this for a while. Even Games Workshop was affected by this at one point. And unfortunately, they're down to the last of their physical books for Dropfleet. Now, this next bit is my opinion and is not based on anything that they've said on this, but we know that we're going to get a new edition of Dropfleet at some point. So I suspect that maybe this might be somewhat preparing for that, because I wouldn't want to get hundreds and thousands of those books printed if they're about to become outdated.
Yeah. In place of the original Drop Fleet book, if you buy a starter box, you're going to get Battle for Earth
Yes,
as
yeah,
your
I
rule
was
set.
kidding, yeah.
So you'll still get a rule book. You'll just get Battle for Earth instead of the original as they run out of supplies. So
And
but
quite frankly, the Battle for
is-
Earth book is much bigger. Like, it's huge.
you get 50 pages of Dropzone stuff, and so you get more of the lore from where the game originated from, but then you'll get all the Dropzone stats as well. So if you decide to get into Dropzone, you'll have all your stats.
Yeah.
Well, I guess some of them have been updated in there on the website for the Fleet army builders, but you'd have your general idea of how Dropzone works by getting Battle for Earth as well. So
Yeah.
it's not bad.
And quite I mean, it is a good digital rulebook. They've laid it out exactly the same way. I know that not everybody likes reading from digital stuff, but yeah, but it's something that is becoming more of the norm now. But this doesn't mean that they're not reprinting them at all. It just means they're not printing them at this point. Whether that's because that there's a new edition coming, I think there probably will be. I don't reckon we'll see it until 2022, but I do think that there's going to be a new edition coming. I suspect that there'll be an announcement for that. Like I said, this is just me. I don't know this. I'm not leaking anything. This is just my opinion on... Because we know that there's one coming at some point. It's already been acknowledged that there will be one coming. The other thing
Bruce
is
knows
that...
nothing.
Sorry?
So I'm going to put in my 2 cents real quick, and it's both sides of the fence. One, I think digital rulebooks are a great thing because then you can have it on this. It's with you at all times.
Mm-hmm.
You can have it on a tablet. You have it with you. You can have 10 rulebooks with you on something this big and not carry 10 rulebooks. Here's my other side of the fence argument. You ever try to flip through a digital book trying to find the page reference?
Yeah.
So much easier on an actual normal book. So
especially if you're someone that's not labeled everything.
Yeah, or has taken the time to learn how to do that, or like I know where stuff is in my Drop Fleet book, just from the numerous times on Hot LZ flipping through the book, looking stuff up and everything.
Yeah.
I'm a proponent for both things because if your game is good, worry about selling the product for the game, not the books and accessories for the game.
Yeah.
If the game is good, you're going to make money. Books
if the game is good, people will go out and buy the rules, even if they can get it digitally for free anyway.
Yeah.
Well, most people will. Some people will rip it off even if it's not available.
Like a metagamer.
Possibly.
Yeah. Another change they're having to do is the PHR Battle Fleet box. They don't have the PHR command cards at the moment.
Yeah,
But they're in place of the command cards. You can download them on their website, but they're giving you 3 extra Corvettes in the box. So which isn't bad. It's good compensation.
Which is that's really fair.
Especially when we know that the PHR Corvettes are probably the best of the game. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will gladly take, as a non-PHR player, 3 more PHR Corvettes over a deck of cards any day of the week.
Yep. We're also getting some launches from Dropzone. A couple of these things are ships that did exist and are being relaunched under new names. Like, for example, I'm pretty sure this is the one that used to be Eden's Dinosaur.
It looks like it.
There's a couple of them that used to be certain character ships, and those characters don't appear in the game anymore. But they're re-releasing them with their own rules. But
are you talking about that Sheltari ship?
No, the Scourge one. The Scourge is Eden Dinosaur.
Isn't that
looks very similar?
I was gonna say, isn't the Sheltari one a Fire Drake? Isn't that what it was called?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, it was a Fire Drake.
There's new stuff coming for each fleet. No, not fleet. Each army. The
Faction.
If you move across into the next link, the just in a couple of rows down, you get a look at everything. So the Screamers are back, which I think might be one of my favourite designs for the game. And the Annihilator is back as well, although it's sold out again. The Annihilator had been out of stock for a very long time. The Harbinger dropship is back. Eden's Dinosaur is now called the Savager Laser Barge. And then Fire Drake, you were correct on the Sheltnanigans one.
Awesome
Yay!
one.
I know things.
And there's a couple things
awesome.
here for the Resisti as well. The Lifthawk dropship is probably still my favourite vehicle in the game, just aesthetically. Although I love buses with guns on them, but it's just a really cool looking ship. And that's another one that was a character from memory and is not a character anymore. So...
One thing I will say, Lewis, is I got a little pop-up on your TT Combat about if you're not in the EU shipping stuff. I won't talk about the company, but there's other companies out there that have US websites that you can order from. They're UK-based with US dollars, and they ship to me just fine. So it's possible.
That'll be because they're still getting that question quite a lot.
Yeah.
The Aegis Orbital Defense Laser is back in stock too, and I think that's been out of stock for months.
Wow.
This thing is huge.
I have seen it. It's massive.
This is the equivalent of a tiny little token in Drop Fleet.
I was gonna say, isn't it like the full size, like drop zone scale from like the little drop fleet scale size?
Yeah.
So think of
scale though.
Think of all the little point defenses you see on your drop fleet ships. That's pretty much the size of that cannon for drop zone.
Yeah.
From what Dave told me, if I remember correctly,
like they just continually put out really, really nice looking terrain. Lewis, can you guys just release some really average looking stuff just so we can't praise you? Like just something that'll never sell. Just put something on the website that looks garbage that nobody wants. Just to balance out how nice everything else looks.
We'll still probably talk good about it, but...
Probably.
Sure. It's crap. All of it is crap. Is that better?
I think that theatre entrance might be one of my new favourite kits. Just
Which
because
one?
I haven't really seen somebody do a theatre. I like the theatre entrance.
Oh, the theater? Yeah, that one is pretty nice.
Oh, yeah. Hey, look, apartments you can afford.
What's an afford?
Apartments that you can afford.
What's an afford? I'm standing by my joke. All right, moving on. Cromlech. I know this is going to be massively surprising to everybody, but Cromlech are doing Orc stuff. They're getting ready for October. This is something that never happens every week.
What's a Orctober?
October is this thing that's supposed to be really important to Games Workshop, but they just don't ever do it. Now, I have this muted for obvious reasons, but when you guys watch this later, listen to it with the audio, because they have a lovely takeoff of the Ghostbusters theme in there, celebrating this Godbuster, because orcs ain't afraid of no gods. This thing looks like it's going to be really good. They're only going to be selling 100 of them, apparently, but it's huge. It's 18 inches tall. So this one might actually be bigger than the Games Workshop equivalent. I'm not 100% sure how big it is, but I know it's big.
I was going to say, this sounds like an equivalent of like the Warlord Titan. Not quite as big, but... oh my god, look how big that gun is. You could stick actual minis down that cannon.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there needs to be a rule where you, like, shoot your orcs across the field as, like, a drop troop. Like, you know, instead of a jump pack, like, you know, cannonballers.
Oh, I love that.
Cannonball.
That's a really cool idea.
Oh!
Carrying cannonballs.
That's
Depending
a
on
really
like
cool
unit
idea.
size. So like a 5-man group, you roll 1d6. A 10-man group, you roll 2d6. The result is the casualties. Those that survive, though, get an extra +2 to their rolls for damage. They
So
automatically hit.
when it's me, I'll have 10 guys. I'll roll 2d6s, and then 12 people die.
All once.
The other
No, your
two come
cannon
from
will blow
whoever
up.
they hit.
That's why I was saying it like that, so you have the chance of your entire squad just actually blew up.
No, his entire tank blows up. That's what's gonna happen to Bruce. He's gonna try and shoot it, and his entire thing's gonna just blow up. It's gonna blow up in the barrel.
Oh, that
I find
That
it
sounds
interesting
amazing.
that they're only going to release 100 of these. My suspicion, and it doesn't say this, but my suspicion is that this is something that we'll see every year as an exclusive October mini. That's my suspicion. Because if it was available all the time, then maybe people would just go, oh yeah, I can just grab it. Or if it's always an exclusive event mini. I have no idea what this is going to cost, but given that it's all MDF and it's 18 inches tall, I don't think this is going to be cheap. I think this is going to be quite exy. Because
that's
the
an
size of
MDF
the
mini?
damn thing.
that's
Moving on,
MDF.
though. Alright, Captain Socks. Do you want to just read this first before you start ranting?
Yeah, I can. So this was posted on Atomic Mass Games Facebook feed yesterday, just before 5 o'clock my time. So as we move into 2022 and beyond, we are excited to continue support of Star Wars Armada by prioritizing reprints of existing products and through organized play initiatives. However, we currently do not have any new Armada products in development. We will provide additional information as it becomes available. What the heck, Atomic Mass Games?
Yeah. I'm going to play devil's
This is,
advocate just for a minute. Because
Okay, go for it.
You're gonna have to read my lips here, Socks. So
I'm no good at reading
Absolutely.
lips.
I don't know either, but if it was negative,
I did that. So I don't have to go back through and edit out the 6 expletives I just dropped there.
Okay.
that
Look,
was my guess. Go for it, Bruce.
I'm just playing devil's advocate here. Star Wars Armada is a game that's releases appeared to have been slowing down a while ago. I have a feeling that this might have been coming already. But in saying that, I'm still surprised that they launched this when X-Wing was always more popular. I don't think this is so much about them not caring about Armada. I think it's more that they're trying to focus... Because I think it's that they don't want 2 fleet games. That's
You
just...
might be right,
Yeah.
but Armada.
I
would
don't
kinda
disagree
count-
with you, just for the record. This is horrible news.
Well, Armada has always been plagued, and the community knows this. It's always been plagued with production issues.
Yes.
You would get a huge wave of stuff, and then you wouldn't see anything reprinted for almost a year or two of the same model. And so I think that's been part of their problems. They've had horrible, crappy production schedules with Armada, not just Armada, X-Wing sometimes too.
Yeah.
And
when it's now being done
they
by
just-
the same team as the Marvel stuff, that's not having as many issues, but there's still the Fantasy Flight Games, I've just blanked on what Asmodee. Their
Asmodee.
production of products has never been entirely reliable. They have a massive following, regardless of that.
Yeah.
And arguably the biggest name in board games. In fact, I don't think there's much of an argument there.
Yeah. But
If you don't count the Parker Brothers, Milton Bradley, generic crap
Yeah.
everyone
I don't think the
knows
Parker
about.
Brothers is as big as people think they are anymore. Although, aren't they just owned by Hasbro anyway? Is it Hasbro or Mattel? It's one of them.
one of the two.
That's it. All the generic games you see at the Walmart aisle.
Yeah.
The fact that you can see Sellers of Catan and Ticket to Ride in Walmart, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So, but for the non-traditional games that we love and everything, they're probably like one of the biggest. And they don't have a giant corporate, engine behind them to, throw them a few million when they start to suffer.
Yeah.
I suspected for a while that one of the Star Wars games was going to drop off at some point. I'm not entirely surprised that Armada is the one that dropped.
I am, especially since they just released Separatist, the Clone Wars,
Like
as Armada.
Like 3 months ago.
Last year. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've had one wave of expansion packs for that Armada set, and now it's not going to be supported anymore in terms of new releases.
Oh yeah, and yeah,
I'm upset,
it's
especially when we just talked 2 weeks ago about them letting the lead designer go for all of Star Wars Armada, and so the entire community is like, okay, what's next? Is X-Wing going to die now? Is Legion going to die now?
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, I mean, it is.
That's a massive foreshadowing there.
Yeah.
Hey, you're
Wow,
fired.
yeah.
Also, now we're not going to support this. We're not going to make more of this game.
A week and a half, 2.5 weeks after they let the lead designer go, yeah, this comes out. So a lot of the community is just like, okay,
Yeah.
do we even have games anymore?
Talk about pouring salt into an open wound.
Yeah.
Well, in saying that though, there's no good time to release this news at
No.
all. Again, devil's advocate. But I do see a little bit of hope in here, which is that it does end with we will provide additional information when it becomes available. And it's that we don't currently have any new Armada products in development. The fact that they've had to state that does kind of lean into the, okay, this is probably the last of the new stuff we're going to see. But in saying that, they have left the door open. So
I will say, I do
it's
agree
not
with
that
you
they've
there.
stopped making it, it's they stopped making new stuff to add to it. So it's not
But
much better,
right
but
now-
it's better than it's better than being dead.
Yeah, no, I agree. It may not be completely dead. You may be right in the sense that they may have stuff in the future, but all we're seeing as of right now coming out of Legion and actually X-Wing is all stuff that Fantasy Flight Games had in the pipeline. They're just now releasing it as their box product and not some of the new stuff. And so who knows? We may get something like this for X-Wing and Legion in 6-8 months from now when they don't have anything else lined up for those products, and they'll just do reprints until they can get something back on the table.
I think the bigger
development.
problem with Armada, though, is... And I could be wrong here, but I don't know what else there's really left to make that wasn't already...
Well,
Most of what we know is already there.
So they barely started going into the expanded universe stuff in
Yeah, I
the
suppose that's a point.
in the Galactic War stuff. So they still have a lot of stuff they could go into in the expanded universe for Separatists and clones if they really wanted to.
Okay.
So there's another guy he's a YouTube channel called Krabik, and he does a lot of videos on this stuff. And he's always delving into, well, they got this ship that they could do, and there's this ship that they can do, or there's this thing for Legion they could do. So they're stuff that they wanted to really get into the expanded universe. And then there's talk of Mandalorian stuff coming out for Legion. We'll see if it happens, but there's always.
I don't think Legion's going to be at much of a risk. It's too much of a cash cow, and I'm not 100% sure how well this was selling.
I don't think Legion's going to go anywhere anytime soon, honestly, because that is the
Legion's
more
popular than X-Wing right now. Last I heard.
Well, in Legion, that style of game, the troop-based stuff, is a much more popular genre of tabletop miniature gaming. If you look at, okay, so TT Combat, they don't count with Dropzone, Drop Fleet, and kind of with Dropzone, but they don't even have anything with that to compete. Look at the engine that is Games Workshop with 40K and Age of Sigmar. Look at Wild West Exodus. Look at Bushido. Look at Infinity. Look at War Mahorts. A majority of these games that everyone knows about are, your tabletop dudes. Yeah. So now I'm going to say a couple things, and this is just me speaking from a reality. I'm going to hurt your feelings a little bit here, Socks, and I don't mean to do this intentionally. The problem with doing a game off an intellectual property like a Star Trek, a Star Wars, I'm going to throw Firefly, stuff like that, a small percentage of the fandom is going to know about all this other stuff. A majority of the people are like, and I'm going to admit I fall into that, once you get past, a couple of the Star Destroyers, a couple TIE Fighters, I don't know anything about the Empire stuff. So when you start talking about all these different classes of Star Destroyers, your average player who is like, well, Star Wars Armada is pretty cool. I can pretty much, just play a bunch of games with, this $100 box, and I can get these, ships and stuff. What's this one? I've never heard of this. Are they just trying to get money out of me? What,
Well, they've done that for Legion, the AA5 speeder truck. I never heard of that until they announced it.
Yeah.
That's an
That
expanded
was
universe.
from
But
Clone
you
Wars
have a
or
good
something?
point.
Yeah,
What's that?
but like I said, that's a different type of game too. You're
right.
doing a ground, yeah. So,
And at the risk of comparing things, Star Wars isn't Star Trek either. I mean, Star Wars fans are fans, and I'm not saying they're not, but they're not detail, everything must be like Star Trek fans tend to be, know everything.
well,
It does have that fan base, but not as much.
Let me go back a little bit of that. Star Trek Attack or Star Wars Attack Wing versus whatever the Star Trek one was. That was
The
the
one that
exact
failed
same
miserably.
game. Yeah. So Star Wars focused on the fighters.
Yeah.
Then you had your bigger ships, which were the Millennium Falcon, Slave One, stuff like that. The scale was kind of there. It was still off. You get over into the universe of Star Trek, and I will admit, I like Star Trek a little more than Star Wars. And the people who are really into that and really into those games, they are more anal retentive. And they're like, this Borg cube is the same size as a Galaxy-class starship. That is not feasible. The Borg cube needs to be, a foot and a half by foot and a half. It's as much as you see the hate of Star Wars and Star Trek fan base is just as angry and more butthurt about stuff, and that's probably why that game failed.
I don't think that it failed because of that. I think, well, even saying fail may not be fair, but I think the reason that the Star Trek one fell down is just timing. The Star Wars was really, really hot at the time because there was the talk of the new movies coming. And the Star Trek movies were around, but they weren't really the marketing machine that people expected them to be.
Well, there's a difference between Star Wars and Star Trek. How many Star Trek movies do we have? We got the 3, 3, 9, Solo, Hope, or not Hope, Rogue. So we got like 10 movies, and then a couple animated series, right? How much Star Trek is there? There's at least 7 TV series now.
Yeah.
10 movies. I mean, there is. It's still good stuff. People still watch it. People still enjoy it. But there is a saturation to nerddom of Star Trek, where Star Wars is so popular because there's not enough for the fans. If Star Wars,
frankly, Star Wars has always had a very quality-focused group behind most of their releases when it comes to the toys and stuff. The Star Trek toys, to begin with, most of its life have been beyond garbage, relabeled stuff. So I think, regardless of whether the product was good or not, part of that's going to affect it as well, because Star Trek fans are kind of used to not getting product that's worth buying. And I think that might have shot them in the foot through no fault of their own.
And then there's also Star Wars is space ninjas with laser swords.
Yeah.
Star Trek is space navy with more bureaucracy crap.
Yeah.
So it leads itself to being more boring. I mean,
I enjoy both, but I don't look at Star Trek. I know that Star Trek has its battles and stuff, but it's not why you watch it. Not for me.
Exactly.
Anyway,
moving on.
Atomic Mass game sucks. Next topic. No.
This is going to be one that's going to be worth following because
is this
there's
what you and
danger
JP...
signs here with the Atomic Mass game stuff. Now, we talked about somebody going under semi-recently. Unfortunately, we're having another one. This letter was written by Justin McCoy, the founder of Secret Weapon Miniatures. Secret Weapon, for the last 12 years has been a huge name in this industry. Not a name that everybody buys from, because their product is very much on the high end of the quality and the price market. I'm not saying that they were expensive, I'm just saying that they weren't cheap. And it was a quality of the product that's how they were thought of. This letter here starts off just kind of talking about how things started. Secret Weapon has been unable to weather the combined impacts of the pandemic and Brexit. So this is not just the pandemic, it's Brexit as well. It's led to month-over-month loss in sales in all of its categories, and it's forcing them to cease operations. I'm still surprised we haven't seen more of this. I was predicting there was going to be a lot of this early on in the pandemic, and we've kind of avoided it, thankfully. So they're preparing to clean out the warehouse and have a going out of business sale to move what's left of their non-resin products. All new sales of resin products have been disabled, and all remaining products have been listed at steep discounts to move immediately. The website will relaunch the week of the 23rd of August.
Sweet.
So that's
This week. This week.
That's this
This
coming
next
week.
week.
This is all happening right now, and this was announced yesterday. Over the past several months, negotiating a partnership with one of our international trade partners, but it fell apart. So there was something that was going to save them, and it didn't happen, by the sound of that. But here's the bit that hurts me a little bit. HD Bases, who remembers that Kickstarter?
Yep.
I've got money on that Kickstarter, and it was due to be shipped out any point now. This letter says that they're working with Eric at Every Little Wars to continue work on the HD Basis Kickstarter campaign. Updates will continue while we transition the project. So it looks like this is being... It looks like that has been purchased, by the look of it. Look, that sounds like Every Little War is purchasing the product. Because that was pretty much ready to go according to the last update. They were just waiting for things to arrive. Whatever happens next for Secret Weapon will likely be up to the bank at this point. Because obviously there's going to have been debts there when they were losing business. So, for other people like myself that are in on the Kickstarter, I'm not saying panic. At the very least, try to remember that this is someone that's not just lost a job. This is someone that's lost 12 years of work. And a very significant member of the community is gone. This is a loss. And if a company like Secret Weapon is gone, I think it's fair to say that we're not out of the woods on that yet. I think we're still going to see a few more. I'm still surprised we haven't seen more of them. And to date, as of recording, there hasn't been an announcement go out on the Kickstarter yet. Not that I've, in fact, hang on. Why don't you give your thoughts on that while I check my email and see if I'm wrong?
So, unfortunately, things like this does happen. I think it was several years ago on Hunt Z, we were talking about Spartan War Games, like one day just saying, our doors are shut, we're not selling anything, we're done, no more.
Yeah.
And that literally came out of nowhere. I wouldn't say this came out of nowhere, but I didn't see this one.
So and it's two entirely different situations. You know, we have had, when I say we, the hobby, the industry has had a very rough year. I mean, we are very, social, you get together with your friends and play games, hobby, and we've been told for the last year and a half, don't do that.
Almost two.
Yeah. Almost two now, yeah. It's really hard for a hobby it is getting together with your buddies to sustain when you can't.
Yeah.
Now, it's Spartan War Games was just like, we're done. So something happened there. They got picked up. So at this point, they're liquidating. They're paying off debts. The final thing will be to sell the intellectual property.
Yep.
Or if they make enough, selling off everything to pay the debts, and he gets to keep his intellectual property, he can go back to being a one-man shop or starting over again with I mean,
couple employees, small staff.
Yeah, I mean, the best thing that could happen is a company like a TT Combat steps in and says, "This is great stuff. This is your role." And continues that line of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, Dystopian Wars, great concept. I was thinking about getting to it, and then like 2 weeks later, company's gone, and the game's coming back. So,
yeah.
I mean,
Secret Weapon didn't have any games of their own that I know of, but they had some products that were fairly significant out there. I mean, the HD bases was potentially a game changer. Those bases were pre-painted, multiple levels. They were done really, really well. Now, we hadn't seen the final product yet. When or if I get them, I will definitely be showing them off. For those like me that are on the Kickstarter, I did check. I did it on camera. There's still no update from the Kickstarter at this point. I suspect because they're probably still talking it through. We need to remember that Kickstarter is not a guarantee from any of them. This might end up being one that burns us, maybe. At this stage, it's saying that it's going to continue. But I would be waiting to see what happens and watching it very closely. Thankfully, I didn't end up investing as much into that Kickstarter as I was going to initially. The thing that concerns me about this now is that the bases that I have might be the only ones that I get. Depends on whether this deal with Eric at Every Little War is going to have the product continue or whether he's just helping them get it fulfilled.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that it means that he's purchased the product and that I'm not stuck with a product that I can't replicate. Because I'm not a sculptor and I'm not even going to try.
Yeah, well, see, here's the thing, with all the companies out there, like, the Green Stuff Worlds, the Gale Force games, I'm sure there's been, like this, I'm surprised, a Green Stuff World or a Gale Force, like one of the bigger ones been like, we'll buy that from you and we'll get that out to the market and continue to sell it. I'm absolutely shocked that, there's got to be stuff that, other manufacturers who do accessories are just like, we can do that.
Well,
we want
their resin bases, I would argue, were the best on the market. They're pre-made, pre-sculpted resin bases. And they sold at a premium very easily. I would be surprised if somebody doesn't grab the molds for those at the very least. Whether it be a Micro Art Studios, that's probably your most likely one. Or someone, I don't know. It's going to depend on what happens behind the scenes, I suppose.
Well, it depends on what.
This one hurt. My heart sank when I got this news.
Just like mine for Armada yesterday as well.
Yeah, I found out about this a couple of hours after you went to bed. After we were kind of talking about that.
Yeah.
Moving on to something a little bit more positive. Sorry that there's been so much negative, but they were very significant things that really needed to be talked about, to the point where if we didn't cover them, I was kind of concerned that we'd be accused of not covering them. So, GCT have a really nice looking chicken with a sword. Isn't this chicken with a sword really pretty?
The first thing I thought of when I saw it? The chicken from Moa wearing a robe and a sword.
Yes. Yep, I could see that. Now, I have seen this sort of chicken before. I don't know what they're called, but I know it's a certain type of chicken. But it's just really cool. I would kind of like to paint this up to not look like that certain type of chicken and just make it I think naturally they're black. These ones.
Are you talking about the goth chicken?
I don't remember what they're called. But this mini is really gorgeous.
It's cool and unique. Just the fact that, you know, hey, you know, it'd be really cool if we made a chicken samurai.
The samurai sword.
Yeah.
What? Dude, yes, we're gonna make a chicken samurai.
I love the fact that one of the first comments is a gif of a chicken looking up surprised.
That gif wins the internet today. I am going. Oh, I'm not signed in on this browser, so I can't like it.
Yeah. So moving on, Blacksite Studio have some 80s goodness releasing for us. The first thing is that picture is definitely not a certain movie.
Hans Gruber.
Yeah, it's definitely not him. See, that they're called German terrorists. They're not people robbing anybody. They're German terrorists. That's what it says.
Those aren't. They
definitely
can't be
Hans
German
Gruber.
terrorists because there is an off-duty police officer there in the middle.
That's a good point. We also have... Actually, let's get a closer look at the German terrorists. So, we got the German terrorists, but we've also got the main character from the movie right there. These are the sort of things where they look close enough that you know what they're supposed to be, but they're different enough that you could argue, no, it's just...
Dude, he's
just
even
inspired
barefoot.
by-
He's even barefoot.
Yeah, they've painted this up really nicely. We've also got the BMX Bandits. My first thought on these was, hey, you want to paint these up and make them look like the kids out of Stranger Things. I mean, how much of a deep dive is BMX Bandits? That's a great movie. I need to rewatch that. And then, like, you know how they have this horror game?
Oh my god. Are you kidding me?
Like, they have this horror game, right? How cool would it be if you had this human-looking cyborg that was the one that was chasing after you? I mean...
Dude,
I'm
as a
not saying
country
that
of
that's
the
Arnold Schwarzenegger
Commonwealth,
and Robert Patrick, but...
as a country of the Commonwealth, Bruce, how are you not flipping out over the Pax Britannica? With the flippin' Queen and a Corgi.
I haven't gotten there yet.
Is that Margaret Thatcher with a Luger?
I think so, yeah. Okay, so what George is referring to is something that I hadn't gotten to yet, and this is something we haven't covered. Regime Rumble is a new game that they released recently, and it's kind of like a battle royal of historical figures. It's kind of, I haven't quite got my head around how the game itself works yet, but it sounds like it's a lot of fun. So yes, we've got Margaret Thatcher, that's meant to be King Henry by the look of it. The Queen has the biggest evil look on her face I've ever seen. And we've got
Have
some
you seen her the
Soviets
last
here
year
as
with the
well.
crap she's dealt with?
Lenin is literally holding a sickle. Like, this is just all kinds of so much cheese, it's not funny. So they're out on pre-order at the moment as well. But
How come there's no Americans? Oh, wait, because we have crappy-ass weak leaders. I said it, fight me. Oh, you can't say anything.
Right.
You can't actually say anything.
I mean, I could say lots of things, but I don't disagree with you.
No,
You're talking about me.
But,
Socks actually, he cannot say anything.
here's your other problem, George. You're actually wrong. Would you like to know why you're wrong?
Why?
They do have Americans.
Where are they at?
I'm going to send them to you. So, the American team is called the Third Term. We definitely don't have JFK. We definitely don't have Nixon. I think that's supposed to be Bill. They're all listed as ex-presidents. I'm not 100% sure who the guy in the white jacket's supposed to be.
Sure you sent us the right link, Bruce?
Yeah, that's Games Workshop, Bruce.
I mustn't have copied it properly. Let's do it again.
There we go. There's Mike's fight.
Why does this webpage not have a search thing? Okay, so who we got there? Oh my god, it's terrible on mobile.
Nixon. Nixon's
Okay,
the first
we
one
got
on the
Nixon.
left.
Yeah, Nixon's there.
Nixon.
JFK's
Looks like
on the other side.
I don't know. I have no clue.
I don't know who the guy in the cream jacket's supposed to be. One of them's Reagan. The one in the bright blue.
Yeah, that's
one in the
Reagan.
bright
That looks
blue
like
is
Reagan.
That's totally a Reagan. I have no idea who the dude in the taupe is, or the beige, or...
Yeah. I'm not 100% sure on that myself. But yeah, this is kind of... It's a bit of a weird one. Like, deliberately, obviously. Where it's kind of... It's a weird thing where it's like a battle royale system, and it's all different people from different points of history that never met that are now fighting with guns for some reason. Like, again...
King Harry's got a crossbow.
With an evil grin on her face. Looks like she wants to slaughter people.
Have you seen the year she's had last year, Bruce? You ever hear of Megan? She wants to slaughter someone.
No, I don't know.
That's right.
Alright, let's move on. So, you know what we don't have? We don't have a lot of games that try to make football into tabletop games. It's not like there's already too many of them already. Blood Bowl, of course, is the big one. We're getting a new competitor for Blood Bowl. This is being written by James Hewitt and Sophie Williams, but James Hewitt is the person that helped Mantic write their space version of Blood Bowl. So he does actually have some significant expertise in the area. He also helped relaunch Blood Bowl, which, you know, might have gone well, potentially. So it's not like we're talking about somebody that doesn't have a bit of history there. There's significant history with somebody behind this. He does write some very good rules. I mean, it certainly looks pretty. It's coming to Kickstarter next month. The only concern that I have is that we've already got a few people that's tried to compete with Blood Bowl that's just been ignored in the past. So it's going to be interesting to see where this one leads. Watch this space for this one, I suspect. There's a few videos there of just, like, giving us an idea of what the game's going to be.
I will say this, just look at the four minis they have on the little thing there. I love the look of that dwarf.
Yes, the dwarf is very, very good. But yeah, apparently there's going to be, like, the teams are, like, the human team, for example, has a couple of, like, halflings and that in it, and so it looks like there might be a little bit of a mix, and rather than just being orcs, and just being goblins, and just being this, and just being that, there might have a little bit more of a real-world feel to it, hopefully.
So I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this. And this is, in my opinion, if they do this, they will be successful. That box needs to be what you buy, and that's it. And then and then another box, not this, you know.
Not this
Games Workshop where you buy the game to get the rule book, and you're stuck with two teams that you probably don't give two squats about.
Yeah.
Because you want to play this, and then you have to go buy that box separately. If you can go buy that box, and that's everything, and you can play the game, and you've got the only two teams for the game, or four teams, or whatever, instead of that's the way it's successful if it's a one box and you're done.
Yeah. There is one thing that I just noticed on this that I didn't notice the first time that I read it, and I think this might actually be the thing that makes this good. Well, not good. The thing that makes this get across the line. It's 1 to 2 players. You can play this solo. You can't play any of the other ones solo. And solo is still really big right now.
Yeah. As we talked several episodes ago, solo games are huge right now because, as we mentioned 10 minutes ago, we've been told don't hang out with your friends and play games. Oh, you can still go to work and see your coworkers and get sick. I'm still good.
You can't go hang out for a couple hours and play a game, but you can spend all day with your coworkers.
Yeah.
Dude, we had a second positive test again, so.
Oh my gosh. You're not the only one. We've had a couple in my office too. So
to be fair though, you have like, a certain group of people that live in a small apartment complex together.
That doesn't help.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Granted, in about 30 days, it's going to be mandatory for all active duty military. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, shall we move on to some indie?
Indy. Definition. Independent. Type. Slang word. Jargon.
So, Bonza Games, firstly, might be the most Australian name for a gaming company I've ever heard. It's like Bonza. If that's not Australian, I don't know what is. It's Australian enough that you've probably not heard it unless you're from Australia anyway.
I was going to say, it doesn't sound like Down Under, Good Day, or any of those other trademark. Huh?
She's Bonza, mate.
Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah.
Delta 10 is... This is probably more of a board game than a war game. I mean, it's kind of one of those things that dances back and forth across the lines. These minis are very much modern day. Like, you've got your NATO guys, so you've got your SAS, you've got your Spetsnats, you've got more NATO guys. Like, the miniatures here are really nice and detailed. Kind of in a similar feel to something we've looked at before, but this is actually like an actual proper board game. So Delta 10 is the name of the game.
Can I say something real quick?
Yes.
The MRB Bravo that has the female with the coat and the handgun totally screams the Russian lady from that Indiana Jones 4 movie,
Actually, yes. Yeah, I could see that. Just showing off the one that you're talking about.
All she needs is a saber, and you just need that thick Russian accent with the W's. Yo, Victor.
So you've got the new Eastern Bloc and NATO is who you're fighting with. The starter set is 149. I assume this is Australian dollars. Yes, Australian dollars. Comes with all of your tokens. Comes with the mini that you just said that you liked, along with some others. She's in the starter set. And you've got some NATO guys as well. If I was to buy this, I think I'd kind of try to paint them up so that everybody was kind of... Because, look, I know which direction this is supposed to be going in and who's supposed to be the good guy and the bad guys. But who says that NATO can't be evil? Come on. Anybody can be evil. You just got to paint them the right way.
Have you not seen what NATO's done a few times? NATO can be evil. Despite the white vehicles and their blue helmets, they can be real bastards.
So,
Can you not say anything about
pointed out to me by somebody that we'd been talking to. So, what was that last bit?
I asked Doc to comment on that either.
Stop asking me these questions, George.
I'm kind of having fun doing it now at this point, though.
So yeah, I wanted to have a look at this one very briefly, mainly because everything else has kind of been very long conversations this time around. But I definitely thought this was worth looking at. There's some specific UK guys for their infantry as well, which I just noticed. The UK guys is actually what comes in the starter set. Yeah, I kind of like this. It's nice. There's not a lot of modern stuff out there. Company of Heroes, I know, is out there.
Heroes is based in World War II, so it's still not quite modern.
Can I just say how this is the one great thing communism has done? It has given us a form of government that is so looked down upon that when we come up with bad guys for a new game, we call it New Eastern Bloc.
Yeah.
I mean, how awesome are you at being jerks that they just recreate you for a new modern game?
You're not wrong.
Have we? Is it ISIS or No, it's new German Nazi communists.
Well, the Nazis have been done again and again too, so.
Yeah, well, but these are new.
Yes.
They're new. So you can tell because it says the word new.
Yep. As opposed to, there's another faction called the Partisans, which means they are the partisans. I guess? I don't know. Anyway, I just thought this was worth looking at very briefly.
It's kind of interesting. I like the idea of this. Let's take, like, you know, this current political turmoil, military stuff that is being force-fed us by the news on a daily basis, and let's turn it into a game and, like, blow stuff up and kill people.
Yeah. Shall we discuss some hobby?
Can you not talk about that, Socks?
I could probably talk about that stuff.
Thank God. You just had a look on your face like...
I know.
This is all fictional stuff. I don't know what you two are talking about. You can't get in trouble for talking about something that's fictional. This is a board game.
If you want to know what about it, look up the Uniform Code of Military Justice. There you go.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's some things in there that are just like...
It's our regs as what we can do as a military.
Fair enough.
Pretty much.
Like, speaking out against elected officials. Past or present.
I'm going to press this button.
Stream, blue, crime, faint.
Wait, no, I have to do it. Because...
It's on his soundboard.
Stream, blue, crime.
Well, no, because it wasn't in the...
Oh, because you... Oh, you didn't... It should have come through on your side.
No, because
But you're recording my audio.
We'll have to listen and see.
Because it's coming through with my microphone.
Yank, have you done anything?
I've done.
I'm guessing no.
Well, no, actually I have. First of all, two things came in the mail.
Yank, I don't see you. There you go.
Look what I got. There's a 1. There's a G.
No, there's the Bruce.
There's an Australia. There's a T. And then there's this. And then here's something Bruce never sees.
I don't. Why is there 6 on that?
Exactly.
That's what we see. Yeah.
So I found a website that does board game manufacturing, prototyping, and stuff like that. So I've legitimately
made our logo dice.
I've made our logo into actual dice.
That is awesome.
We're kind of happy about this. It's kind of cool.
So I ordered them up
Thank you,
so that
George.
each of us has a set of dice. So now that you're not homeless, Socks, you have an address that I can mail them to you.
I do have an address.
Not, the dumpster out behind the Armada.
Wait, my dad was actually. You were?
While he's telling Sam off, what? So, Captain Socks, Major Socks.
Wait, well, I got one more thing.
Oh, never mind.
Sorry, George.
Apparently, you don't matter, Major.
I don't.
No, he's Air Force.
That's why I don't matter, according to the Marine.
Ugh, is this no? This is the no.
Enjoy the view, folks.
Yes, this is
I don't see anything, so.
a lovely view.
All you missed was George's crack.
There are some videos coming. I'm gonna go ahead and preview this because this is probably the most boring of boxes. I got my Ankh. This box right here is an exclusive box too, and it is literally the heaviest box I've ever encountered. Because instead of your little cardboard card stock,
Punch outs.
character dashboards and stuff like that, this box is nothing but bags of plastic tokens instead of cardboard tokens. And instead of cards, this is all nothing but, oh my god, it's heavy.
The
Big,
boards.
thick, heavy cardboard dashboards. And then little things. This box is entirely unnecessary.
So it's all upgrade stuff.
It's all upgrade stuff, yeah. So it's all completely unnecessary. Everything you need to play the game already exists outside of this box, except for it's all plastic tokens and nice heavy-duty cardboard, dashboards and stuff. So it was cheaper to get the level I got and have this in it than to order everything and not have this in it. So
The thing I find interesting is normally, Zombicide, for example, comes with plastic dashboards.
So the dashboards in this game are like a normal, nice cardstock, printing. This is like, like 4 mil thick cardboard.
Oh god. Okay. Yep. That fair enough.
So it's the same material that the punch out tokens are made from, except these are the dashboards instead of just cardstock. So like
This is
this box is completely unnecessary, but it's
this
cool.
is Space Hulk level of cardboard thickness.
Yeah, it's a stupid heavy little box. So like I pulled it out, I'm like, oh, God, what is in here? And then I've recorded all the unboxing footage. I'm currently trying to move stuff on my hard drive because 4K video takes up so much space.
Yeah.
I'm trying to move everything over to the secondary hard drive in my computer so that I can do all the video edit and then uploads.
So we should have that video by the end of the week, hopefully.
I should have one done by the end of tonight, actually.
Awesome.
If I can get the stuff moved to the other hard drive. There's 1, 2, 3. I think I did it in 5 parts.
Yep.
The retail stuff and as the retail little separate one, and then all the exclusive stuff.
Nice.
The exclusive stuff. Holy cow! There is so much exclusive stuff.
It is the same on Kickstarter.
It is. Based on how much I spent and what I got, I'm not upset. Based on the level of detail, I am not upset. Spoiler alert, I don't shut up about the quality of the detail in these videos. For board game minis, mass produced and assembled as cheaply as possible, they do look amazing.
Nice.
I'm still amazed that they have straight spears and stuff.
And like I said, it's a different plastic from what board game minis are normally made of. It's a hard plastic that you would see for like you'd see in the Games Workshop and the old drop fleet sprues. It's a hard plastic like that. then the majority of the mini is the softer, more resilient plastic.
Yep.
So the chances of the spears breaking is super high, but they are super straight.
And because it's plastic, hard plastic, you can fix them very easily.
You should be able to glue it together really easily, yes. So, but yeah, look for those. Like I said, I should have the one done tonight for the core box. And then the other one should be fairly simple after that, except for the exclusive box, because I cover everything that's Kickstarter exclusive content in that last part. Actually, I'm going to show you something else too.
Awesome, we get to see his crack again.
So, let's see if we can get the camera to focus in on it. See
While
this?
I'm doing that, I'll pull out what I've been doing.
Yep.
See that right there?
Yeah.
That is
it's a website.
A scratch code for certificate of authenticity of an actual Unk CMON product instead of a knockoff someone's made and put on the shelf.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, why couldn't they just steal the barcode?
Because, well, see, prime example, here's my Death May Die box, which also CMON. Doesn't have anything like that. So I'm wondering if that has become something in the last however many years between that was released versus this, that they're having to do certificates of authenticity of this is the actual product that we have made, not what someone else has bought a copy of, done their own recast, and sold.
Interesting.
Right. The wish effect.
Yeah.
I when I first saw that, I was like, that's really interesting. I've never seen that before. Huh. So I thought it was worth mentioning that, you know,
yeah,
there's a scratchable certificate of authenticity, and it's only on the retail packaging. All the exclusive stuff for Kickstarter, so like this little heavy beastie box,
yeah,
not there.
Oh, okay.
Because this is not going to hit retail shelves. You can only buy this on the Kickstarter or from CMON at a convention if we ever go to convention.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting that I didn't, you know. I mean, there's recast minis, so I guess maybe there's counterfeit board games too.
I wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I'm not surprised either. I just never seen or heard it. Captain Major Socks, you were making me motion sick over there.
He's getting stuff ready to show off because not everything's about you, George.
Anyways,
I know I have a nice setup right now. I'm sorry. Next 2 weeks from now.
Captain Socks, it's been 2 weeks since we last saw you. Everything should be set up by now. Just because you don't have your stuff is no excuse for the laziness you're clearly displaying.
I just moved into my house. So I won't get the fan in my way.
Ooh.
What is that?
That's
what does that look
Hubble
like?
telescope.
It is Hubble, and it's all Lego.
Nice.
And came with my cordal reach.
That's a space shuttle.
Yeah, this thing's
Oh, that's huge.
about 2 feet by 14.
So I can tell you right now, that's not the Challenger.
Nope.
You know how I can find out the Challenger?
Challenger's all over the place.
Yeah, because it's not in multiple pieces. Sorry, Turner joke.
I know. So that's what I've been up to.
No.
Here, over the next couple weeks, there'll be unboxing boxes, and then maybe 2 weeks after that, I can actually start working on some stuff.
It'd be good to see you actually being able to do stuff again.
Yeah, me too, finally. After 2.5 months. Yeah, for 2 months, 2.5 months. So, Bruce, you?
I have received some more Bot War stuff, which I have started painting. I primed them all last night. I'm going to highlight them later. So I have the Infestors, which is one of the ones that we looked at recently. They were the bug-looking ones.
Airbrush or rattle can primer?
Airbrush. I don't use rattle can primer. It can go to hell. Rattle can primer does not touch my fingers.
Okay. Well, if you put gloves on, it can't touch your fingers either.
Well, that too. It's more. I just don't see the. while I have the airbrush and I can control the airbrush properly, I see no reason to ever use a
No,
Radicam primer
that's
on
fair.
anything but
No, that's
terrain.
absolutely fair. Yeah.
Um,
In the winter, I'll airbrush prime. In the summer, I'll go ahead and I'll still rattle can.
So yeah, everything's very, very gorgeous. It's a like really bright purple resin mini, because they're doing coloured resins, which is really cool. Otherwise, my Ender 3 showed up, which I have sort of built, but it's not ready to be used yet. That's a 3D printer, one of the FDM ones, like our friend JP has. Because I want to get some terrain done, is my intention there. And otherwise, it's kind of been lots of work. And Australia Post letting me down.
What?
So,
Australia Post let you down?
I know, right?
Here's
You're
my
real-
shocked face.
So if you purchased the Express Post, what would you expect it to happen with it?
They knock on your door and say, "Would you please sign for your package?"
Yeah, well, Express Post is supposed to be overnight, but they've with the workload and everything that's going on at the moment, they've basically gone, nope, the service doesn't exist even if you pay for it, and you can't get a refund on it. It took me 4 days to get my package. No,
Wow.
3 days to get my package. And it was coming from 30 minutes down the road. But I'm not allowed to go and I wasn't allowed to go and pick it up because of the current lockdown. Thanks, Sydney.
Well, specifically,
slash
you can thank the
idiots in
people
Melbourne.
who won't, who insist on having to go to the beach and doing all that stuff.
Or having a giant engagement party with 69 people, two of which were already positive before they went.
Yeah, that doesn't help either.
No. Or the pub crawl.
Did
Somebody
you
did a pub
did you see
crawl.
my acting? Did you see my acting?
I was very impressed.
I'll show you again. How was that? Was that good?
Yeah. But yeah, look,
Could I be an extra on it?
I'll put you in as a tree in my next production. So yeah, that's what I've been up to. I have gotten some stuff done. It's just a matter of timing at this point. I haven't had a lot of it because. But I have an interview for something on Thursday that will hopefully make my schedule easier, if I get it.
Nice.
Fingers crossed. Otherwise, Game Talk, I suppose.
Talk nerdy to me.
All right. So we are going to be covering the HQ
Drop zone.
stuff.
Dropzone. Feels like we've been covering Drop Fleet for forever now.
Yeah, I know, right?
Because we have.
It's because the stuff that we were covering, because we left Resistance till the last of that section, there was quite a bit that had to be done. So,
Yes.
but
Resisty.
today we are looking at the Scourge. And for those that have been following us for a while, hey, look, they've updated the website. Can I just say, this looks really pretty. I really like the new
Good job, Lewis.
version. Yeah.
Stop saying that. You're gonna make his head huge. You won't be able to fit through
I
the doorway.
know.
All right.
Shrink it down, Lewis.
So we're
You're a
covering.
terrible, horrible person.
Yeah, stop being garbage, Lewis. So we're covering the command for Scourge. We've got one each. So I might start with the Desolator command barge.
I can't get the page to load.
I'll start with this, and I guess
down.
that we will just do all the work while George pretends that he can't load things. Alright, the Desolator command barge.
Does anyone check it out?
140 points. It's got a squad size of 1 because it's an HQ unit. Obviously, there's only one of them. It's a gorgeous looking mini. Like, seriously, look at the damn thing. It's awesome. It has an Ion Cyclone. Oh, sorry, hang on. I need to go through the stats first. It can move 12
So you're going to go over
inches.
stats?
So this thing can actually move a decent thing because it's a vehicle. Got active countermeasures, armor of 11, damage of 7. It's an aircraft, and there's nothing special about the vehicle itself.
That's why it can move fast. It's an aircraft.
Yes. So, the Ion Cyclone, it has a move and fire of 9 inches. The arc is front, side, and rear. Full range is 9 inches. Its other range is 9 inches, so it's 9 across the board. 3 shots. I forget what ACC stands for.
Accuracy.
Thank you.
You're walking,
Accuracy of 3+. And it's got 11 energy.
Energy. Yeah.
Its special is Alt 1, so you can use one or the other of these. You can't use both. Destroyer, 5+, and Flame. Next up, we have the Ion Storm, which has a move and fire of 9 inches as well. Exactly the same arc, but the range on this is 12 inches instead of the 9, so you're gaining a little bit more in its range. Its shots, however, we will come back to. Accuracy is 4+, you're losing a bit of accuracy to get that extra range. Energy is 9, so I guess because it's going further, it's kind of weakened at the extent of it. And it's obviously Alt 1 and Tech Killer. Ion Storm. This weapon hits every non-aircraft unit within range, friendly and enemy. Each unit will get hit by the weapon profile once, but infantry, not a garrison, instead gets hit D6 times each. So I think that's supposed to be infantry that's not in a garrison.
Yes.
I think it should be that's not in a garrison. Lewis, I found an error.
Traffic, James.
Roll once for all units. Infantry in a garrison cannot be hit. So yeah, I'm right. There's a word missing there.
Did you say roll once or roll ones?
Once.
Once.
I'm gonna say if it's roll ones, Bruce, you need to take that every time.
Yeah. This weapon has an accuracy of 6+ on any units over 6 inches away. So the reason it doesn't have shots is because it just hits things.
Think
And
of
in
it
the
as
case of
creating
infantry, it hits things again and again.
Yeah.
Unless you're me, in which case it'll only hit them once. Oh,
think of this weapon as being a centralized lightning storm, pretty much.
Yeah. This is scary. Captain Socks, do you want to go with the oppressor?
Yep. So the Oppressor Command Anthropod is 150 points for a squad size of 1 again, because it's a command unit.
Yep.
Has an 8-inch movement for command module, or countermeasures is active. Armor 15, damage 8. It's a walker type, and it's a very large walker, so it's not a small walker, it's a large one. It has, for its weapons, it has an Electro Web Caster, which has a move and fire rate of 4, an arc of front, range full is 9, range countered is 9 as well. 1 shots, 2+ accuracy, energy 12, and it's a tech killer as well, so it can work well against behemoths. Focus Plasma Carbines is also 4-inch move and fire, front and side for its arc. 8 inches full and 8 inches countered. 1 shot on this as well. 2+ accuracy, energy 11. Has the Alt 1 with Devastator 2 and Scenery Strafe 2. So it's really good at destroying scenery. And then Spread Plasma Carbines, again 4-inch move and fire, front side rear arc, front side arc, not rear. 9-inch full, 9-inch countered. Excuse me. 3 shots, 3+ accuracy, 10 energy. And it has Alt 1 Strafe 2. And then it has Razor Claws, which can't move, or has a dash for the move and fire, so I'm guessing it doesn't matter move and fire because it's kind of like close combat weapons. Front arc, only 1-inch range for counter and full. 2 shots for both claws, 1 for each claw, 2+ energy, or 2+ accuracy, 10 energy. So, pretty cool looking unit, walks around, grabs your unit with the claws and just tears them to pieces.
Yeah.
It pinches. Hinch.
Or spits webs at him.
This, looks-wise, is possibly my favourite walker in the game. That's currently available. I should stress that, because there's one that's coming that I want really badly. Did you get it loaded or not?
I got it loaded on a different browser. Way to go, Google Chrome. Fail me at my time of need.
So we're looking at the Despot Suppression Walker?
Yes. There we go. The Despot Suppression Walker. It has a move of 6, CM of A. Armor 15, damage of 2. Type is a walker. It's not special.
Nope.
It has a plasma hose, which is a front arc. Has a 6-inch range. Both versions of was it F and C.
Full and counted.
There you go. SHO of 5, ACC of 4+, energy of 4+, focus of 3. Has 2 of those. It's 2.
Yep.
And then it has razor claws, which is also front, and that's a 1-inch range. With both parts of that. SHO of 2, accuracy of 2, and energy of 10. So, it has hoses and claws.
Yep. So this is the new HQ unit that came in the new versions of the starter set, for those that are wondering.
Yes.
I continue to love everything about the look of Scourge. They just look cool.
I like the Scourge drop fleet.
The thing I find amusing is that when I first backed the drop fleet, my reaction to Scourge initially was just that I didn't get it. And I've completely 180'd on it.
I enjoy the Scourge drop fleet.
Yeah.
The Scourge drop zone, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm very meh about. I don't find them attractive in any sort of way at all.
It's not your aesthetic.
Yeah, it's...
Yeah, it doesn't have the organic feel that you see in drop fleet.
Yeah, that's fair.
No, not even that. Just the looks of them, like the transports.
Yeah, the CD.
And the despoiler heavy dropship?
You talking about the CD racks, as we call them?
Yeah, I don't like them at all. The vampire, I mean, yeah, it looks kind of cool, but the intruder stuff. I mean, I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to give it that organic alien look. I just feel that either they didn't translate this well enough into Drop Fleet, and it's a completely different look that Drop Fleet looks amazing, or they found what they needed to do with Drop Fleet, and it was too late to do it for Drop Zone.
Possible.
In my opinion. I mean, if you look at UCM, it looks like UCM. PHR, it looks like PHR. Sheltari, it looks like Sheltari. If you look at this, it doesn't look like... You know, it looks like a different ground force from its space fleet.
I don't
my
see
opinion.
that, but okay. Yeah. When it comes to all of these, I would argue are good. I mean, obviously, there's two that's much better than the other one, but it's also 3 times the price. So, this is another one of the good ones where it's like you could go either way on here. I'm leaning towards the Desolator at this point, but I'm not actually sure if I... It would come down to what you're facing, I think, which is a nice... there's nothing on this that I would say, well, I don't see why you would take this. Because they all have really good things to be going for them. I mean, obviously the Despot is just not as good as the other two, but it's only 55 points. So it's a cheap HQ option.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. So my thought was, knowing next to nothing about Scourge, because I know so little about Drop Zone, the Despot, you know, is a cheap HQ when you have to fill an HQ slot.
Yes.
If you're looking at the Desolator Command Barge or the Oppressor Command Arthropod,
yeah.
well, spend the 10 points and just get the Arthropod because it is better, based on my understanding, than the Barge. It's from what I can read, it is better significantly. For 10.
I'm leaning towards the Command Barge because I kind of like auto hits, given how dice usually treats me.
Okay, Bruce, if you rolled like a normal, average human being, I know you don't know what that's like.
In all honesty, I'm holding them both together because they're both really, really good, just for different reasons.
Yeah.
I mean, if one of my strategies was to take out the buildings that they're people in so that they can't get the points, then hey, sure, yeah, I definitely want to take that arthropod. But if I'm facing multiple ground units, I probably want to get that Ion Storm going.
Let me change my argument slightly. Who cares then which one you take? It's 10 points.
Well, yes, that too. But my point was that I like the fact that there's not really something here that's like, I just don't see why it's here. I can see the role for all three of them.
Yeah,
Major.
Here, give her a Prowler Strider Joan, and you can take the Arthropod on the list. There, done. Easy.
Major, what's the crab claw thingy mean?
It corresponds with your transports, if I remember correctly. Yeah, so the only dropship that can carry this one is the Harbinger dropship.
Okay. Yep.
So, with the new version of Drop Fleet or Drop Zone, they kind of tailor-made, streamlined it, I would say, in a way to easily know which dropship you need for each unit, in a sense.
Nice.
So, yeah, the Harbinger dropship is the only one that can carry either of those walkers in.
Yep. Which,
no, sorry.
for those watching the video, is this one. 45 points.
Sorry. The Despot is carried by the, I'm guessing, the Intruder Light. Yeah, the Intruder Light dropship.
Yeah, it would fit there. Yep. All right. Upcoming events. So I can cry a little bit.
Yeah.
At the apex of forthcoming things.
At least this time, I think you were expecting it.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah, he was.
All right. Two things on the upcoming events. Gen Con is still listed as a thing that's happening at this point.
As of now.
Till 19th September.
For now.
We'll see if that changes, because who knows? Our cases are starting to spike over here, so...
Well, PAX Australia has been cancelled.
Yeah, so... But yours was later in the year, too, so... Which was odd that they cancelled it so soon. I would have thought they would have waited to see a little bit longer, but who knows?
It's not just Melbourne. So Melbourne's kind of in lockdown to try to prevent going too high, but Sydney's completely ruined right now and won't be getting out of it for months. So, because
that makes sense, man.
Way out of control.
Are we talking about COVID or just in general?
Well, Sydney is one of those. No, that's not fair.
That's what I said. I was trying to throw some shade at Sydney. Sorry.
Yeah. Sydney kind of... Rather than going into lockdown like every other state has when things got bad, Sydney were kind of like, no, we're going to prove that you don't need to do that, and we're going to try and prove our point. So it kind of became a political thing rather than a safety thing, and yeah, they're massively out of control. They're still not in lockdown properly, even now. So it's I doubt that Sydney's going to improve before October, probably November. I think the numbers are going to continue going for a while.
Yeah, not to say I don't enjoy working from home, but there are arguments that can be made for that.
Yeah.
There was a European country, they didn't go to lockdown, and it's fine. And Socks, which Dakota was it? They were like, screw lockdown. And they were fine.
I think South, maybe.
Yeah, it was one of the Dakotas, so I mean...
I don't understand why you have 2 Dakotas, but that's neither here nor there.
We have 2 Carolinas. We have 2 Virginias.
It's really silly. It's just really silly.
We have 2 Mexicos.
Yeah, but the other one's a country. Just saying. What clearly happened is that there was that many states that they were like, we just give up.
We may have 2 Oregons here this next election. Or a bigger
That'll
Idaho.
never happen.
I know.
It's the same as like California, like, we're gonna secede. No, you're not. Texas, we're gonna secede. No, you're not.
Texas probably could, but California can't.
I don't know if Texas could with the fun publicity they've been having lately.
Anyway, enough of the politics. Thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah, sorry.
Anything else before we wrap up?
He said, "Gentlemen, who's he talking to?"
Well,
Definitely me,
mainly
not
the
you.
major. Thank you for those that support us. If you are in a position to do so, please consider supporting us on patreon.com/gettingtabled. If you want to follow us on social media, facebook.com/gettingtabled, Twitter @gettingtabled, Instagram @gettingtabled. If you search for us on YouTube as Getting Tabled, we are like the first 15 to 16 results. The video of me unboxing the Bot War stuff went live yesterday. The video version of this podcast is available to our Patreons exclusively until next weekend, when it will go live for everyone else. It certainly is a bonus to be able to watch the video version because you can physically see what we're talking about rather than just trying to search it with the links. We do share the links, obviously, but it's much easier if you can just see what we're talking about rather than having to search it and look for it while you're trying to hear what we say.
Plus, sometimes we're just really funny to look at.
I'm always funny to look at.
Going to get you, George. According to my screen.
You making fun of me again?
Always.
As I can.
But otherwise, until next time.
Newly received.
No, not that one.
Not that one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For listening to Getting Tabled. Music used in this podcast was created by Eric Mathias at soundimage.org.
You okay?
I haven't heard that one in a long time.